I would say hands down, one of the biggest things that I came home with was I call it I was in prison mode. And it probably still comes out every now and then, but not in the way that it used to. When I first came home, the way I would communicate, if because it was such a serious environment, it was hostile, it was negative, it was all these things. That's how I would start to communicate out here when I started to feel a certain way. And now I understand there's certain trauma and triggers, and that's why I'm able to work on it.
Now you're a husband.
Yeah.
What were, and you're now a man in a new society that has, of course, at that particular time, has far left you behind.
and and the world's ending because it's 2020. I came home.
Yo,
I came home in January 2020. So yeah,
wait,
technology.
wait, wait. You came home 3 months before the pandemic.
I got locked up February 12th, 2003, before Facebook, before people text on their phones, and I came home January 13th, 2020. And the first thing I remember is the tragedy with Kobe, his daughter, and the passengers. And the next thing I remember is the world started ending. And I didn't even have time. I did. I wasn't home 90 days. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It was months, but I didn't even decompress from prison, and here we go. The world's ending.
Now, were you in a halfway house at that particular time?
No, no.
Okay.
Fortunately, I was able to come straight to Georgia, and I always tell people I'm blessed. I didn't have to face a lot of the hurdles and obstacles that a lot of brothers and sisters do. My wife, she already had purchased a home, and I was blessed to be able to come straight to our home.
So once again, I said that you're a new father. What were some of the effects that, like, excuse me, like you said that you had to kind of decompress from? What were some things that you would say that now that you realize, well, I'm glad I don't do that no more, or I'm
Yeah.
still trying to get over that?
Yeah, so I would say hands down, one of the biggest things that I came home with was I call it I was in prison mode. And it probably still comes out every now and then, but not in the way that it used to. When I first came home, the way I would communicate, if because it was such a serious environment, it was hostile, it was negative, it was all these things. That's how I would start to communicate out here when I started to feel a certain way. And now I understand there's certain trauma and triggers, and that's why I'm able to work on it. But I would say that I would say I didn't have the ability to sleep. When I came home, there were so many racing thoughts. Like I said, coming home after 17 years on probation, I'm a husband. COVID's here, trying to get work a job, drive after 17. It's just a lot. And then I would say outside of those things, the sleep, the trauma, which is like the PTSD, I would say depression. Depression kind of hit me um, really, really hard those first couple of years. I don't know, just a lot of moments of realization and stuff like that. And life was life, like always.
Did you feel anger?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I was talking to the brothers earlier today about this. I remember we got to school, we got certain things, and my wife's in the driveway, and she's like, "Yo, you're so angry. You got everything." And of course, not. We don't have everything, but she's like you went from a prison cell to you're good. Like why are you? And I don't. For me, I was so caught up in what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And in the midst of that, also setting expectations on certain things and people. And then also, I had it in my mind life was going to be a certain way when I came home. I wasn't expecting what I faced out here to be a lot harder than what I was facing in there. I had to endure that longer, but out here, there's so many different variables. In there, it's more control, it's more predictable.
Yeah, predictability within a controlled environment versus the openness of opportunities without the structure. I can understand how that could be overwhelming to a person. Um, you'd say you had PTSD. Oh, I'm sorry. You say that you had PTSD and you have a wife. How did that go into, say, family planning?
Um, it was my wife realizing or seeing some things in me early, challenging me enough until I accepted the challenge. Um, Going to therapy, starting to do the work. Me being more appreciative of the moment and the second chance, getting back into that mindset, getting away from, the frustrations and understanding life is going to life. Things are going to happen, you know. And then there was other things like I'm big into mental health now, and she sparked that. And I also, I took trips to Detroit to go to like Inception to do neurotherapy. Um, there's just a lot of things that I do. I'm a guy that gets into nature. I hike a lot, probably 3 or 4 times a week. I got my dogs. I try to keep myself centered because she challenged me and she said, "Hey, I know you've got trauma, but I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to keep dealing with your trauma. You're gonna have to start fighting." So yeah.
That's a very good way of thinking. And what I realize is that, you know, well, let me ask you this before we go to that next question. You're Were you able to find work coming out?
Yeah, I was able to. Well, at first I was getting shot down, shot down, shot down, and then like I always tell guys, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So network, you never know who knows who. So my wife, one of her former students, um, knew a job I could get. I started working for sanitation, and
Mm.
actually, my wife hates the fact that I still have this job, but I have not quit that. I still work for that same place 3 years later, and probably shouldn't be, but I don't know, man. Creature habit. It's early in the morning. I get up early. Still give me the rest of the day to get to some other stuff.